You're listening to the Waypoint TV Podcast Network, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Midway USA brand product designers have one straightforward goal: develop high-quality, technically sound products and deliver them to customers at reasonable prices. If you are immersed in the shooting sports industry and pay close attention to every single detail, you know our products are built right and stand up to everyday use. Who has shooting mats and range bag systems to hunting clothing and just about everything for the outdoors? Log on and shop 24/7 with super fast shipping. MidwayUSA.com.
Hey everyone, this is Captain Steve Roger from Into the Blue TV. And as soon as I feel a little break from this heat, I know that hunting season is upon us. Actually, the first time I ever went hunting, a buddy took me. Wasn't my father or my grandfather. In fact, I took my father on his very first hunt. Well, Academy Sports and Outdoor Stores has everything to gear up for the field for less. Plus, you can shop a wide selection of ammo, shotguns, deer corn, rifle, feeder, game cameras, camo, and more from the brands you trust. Text HUNT24 to 22369 to take $20 off a $100 purchase when you shop hunting supplies at academy.com. Need a hunting license? Pick it up in store while you're shopping.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of the wonderful Publicly Challenged podcast, and today we have the elusive and exclusive, one and only, the amazing Jed Arkels. And I don't know if people know this. We've actually tried to have him on once before, and it just didn't work out. It was fate telling us to redo the podcast because both of us were experiencing power outages and everything else, crazy tornadoes. Here we are, though. Jed is back, and we're the only ones, hopefully, to ever have him on a podcast so we can have that claim to fame. Jed, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Hopefully, this turnaround, this goes better than last time.
Jed, I hyped you up way more than that. I need something energetic. I need something amazing.
I need to say that it's probably been like a good 5 or 6 episodes since I've done an introduction, you thief.
Ooh.
Hey, you know why you haven't done an introduction? Because you haven't set any up, Clay.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. But Jed, dude, you guys had like tornado weather last time.
Yeah, that was crazy. Our power went out for a minute and then I got back on, but then like I think 20 minutes later Luke's went out. So
Yeah.
I'm west of Luke, maybe 60 miles or something like that. So it just made its way to him.
I don't even think you're that far.
No, maybe not.
I want to
45.
say, yeah, like 40 maybe, 45.
Yeah.
When you guys see each other, do you throw up like West Side Gang signs at him?
He throws W and I got the E going, like this.
Yeah.
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 For sure.
Yeah.
What you been picking lately? I mean, I know, but for people that don't know.
We just got back from persimmon camp, so that was fun. We do that every year, just Ashley and I.
Were they tasting good? Like, were they ready? Or
Yeah,
are you letting them ripen?
No, we only really harvest what's ripe on the tree, but there was a lot of like webworm. So webworms can knock out all the leaves on persimmon trees. So there's a lot of trees we noticed that had a lot of I don't know if it's damage, but like webworms basically cleared out all the leaves. So a lot of those persimmons won't ever really ripen. Yeah, because it's like a tree loaded, but it can't create the sugars without the leaves. So,
well, that's no good.
But we found a good amount, So yeah, but yeah, we harvest them when they're ripe. I don't really harvest underripe persimmons. Maybe like slightly underripe, and then they'll ripen. But mostly we like to harvest ripe and then just process them right away.
What do you do with them?
I just pulp them mostly, and freeze the pulp. And then just use it for
then.
And then we make bread. Yeah. Yeah. So breads, I made hot sauce this last year. We make barbecue sauce out of it. I'd say mostly we make bread, but I also eat it fresh. Like I'll thaw the pulp and just put it over like some wild rice porridge with some like wild blueberries and maple syrup. And hickory nuts, and that's a really good way to eat it too.
You
the
sound
pulp
like you sound like you're eating like the exact same meals as Sam.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Like Sam's
Oh.
always like every meal you make, like you're like, it's like some porridge thing with like blueberries and hickory nuts, and I'm like,
Yeah.
are they just cooking the same meals in the same kitchens?
Different kitchens, similar meals maybe, but
Yeah.
I don't know if Sam has persimmons, but
I'm not a porridge guy.
you're not a porridge guy?
I'm not a porridge
So,
guy.
I'll make you some sometime.
Okay.
I put wild rice in a coffee grinder and
Yeah.
like almost basically turn it into a flour, and then I just cook that, and it's like malt. You ever eat Maltameal as a kid? It's kind of
Yeah,
like
not
that.
a fan. Not a
No.
fan.
Okay. Well, it tastes like wild rice,
Mm.
but yeah. I mean, yep.
Clay, what's the
I have-
difference between grits and polenta? I feel like you
Grit-
know.
Well, I know
It's
hominy
the
grits.
it's the grind.
Yeah. Hominy grits are way better than regular grits, because they're nixtamalized. I just think they
So
taste
they
way
soak
better.
them in lye to get like the outer shell of the corn off.
Yeah. Yeah. it's true to do with that.
Undigestible portion, if you will.
Yeah. And
I just gotta. I
tastes so
have
much-
to cut in really quickly here because this is just gonna talk about persimmons that you were saying a minute ago, and I just got to read this by John Smith. This was written in the 1600s. It says, "If it is not ripe, it will drive a man's mouth awry with much torment."
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And sometimes they'll trick you. You're like, ooh, that's a good one, and it's not a pleasant experience. It's super astringent. It just puckers your mouth. Like it binds all the tannins. The tannins bind all like the proteins in your mouth, and it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's a crazy feeling, but
I thought the
I just had- I
persimmons
just
were
had
the
to say
fruits
that.
of the gods.
yeah. Of
Yep.
Virginia, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Styrus virginianum. Fruit of the gods of Virginia.
The
Yeah.
wilder whites of West Virginia.
Oh man.
Is that the?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? By the way, I'm just saying. I
think I've seen parts of that. Like
Johnny
maybe
Knoxville
15
followed
years
this
ago.
family around. That like something white, Jesse something white, or whatever the guy's name was like a famous tap dancer, coal miner, tap dancer. Scammed the government for Social Security and taught all his kids how to do it. And then they taught their kids how to do it. And it's like this whole generation of like wild and crazy party West Virginia folk that live in the hollers. It's just
Great.
It's nuts. Anyway, had to say it. It's actually really good, Clay. Watch it. Don't nod your head at me like that. That's better. Thank you.
I would love to watch it. It sounds amazing.
It's very, yeah. And then there's another one that like talks about like stories about when he was huffing glue and doing all kinds of crazy things, huffing gasoline, getting arrested by the cops.
Do you think that if you brought like huffable glue back to like the pioneer days, that everybody be like getting trippy with huffing glue?
Probably. Here's my
I
theory
mean,
on this.
I really think that they would be like just getting ripped like off glue, and they'd be like, "This is awesome."
Probably. Because the advent of ether came about when 1880s or something like that, right? Like 1870s. It
It's
was
just-
there for
it's-
the Civil War, and they'd use ether and knock
Yeah.
the people out and saw their leg off. Can you imagine waking up after passing out from an ether? Like,
No.
and being like, whoa, what? Where's my leg, man?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've found like empty cans of that stuff under like a bridge in this river valley nearby.
Wow.
So
Did you
I don't
take
know.
a little whiff? Did you
No,
crack
they
the
were
top
I'm saying empty can.
like
someone-
Civil War
someone-
days cans or like
No, not that old. I don't. It was a long time ago. I don't really remember that well, but I just remember a friend was with me and he was like, I don't know, talking about past experiences he's had, and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
This really took a left turn here.
It's all good, man.
We
This
went
is,
from persimmons to huffing ether.
Yeah,
uh,
never.
it's what
never
it's what the
experienced that.
clientele likes. Okay.
Never will.
So anyway, hickory nuts.
maybe some editing on this one here.
Never. No way.
Yeah. Yeah, hickory nuts. Yeah. So when we were down gathering persimmons, we go to Southern Illinois.
Mhm.
And we have some trees in our memories mapped out that some yellow bud hickory. So we gather those for oil. And it's an okay year so far. I still have a lot of trees to check, but those tend to drop a little later. So shagbarks are like pretty much done now. There's a few trees I know that are holding still, but yellow buds come later in the season, which is nice because this time of the year gets a little crazy.
Do you walk up to the trees and go, "Yo, man, you holding?"
Yeah.
Jed, when you find a tree that is loaded like that, what's the squirrel population like, and like why aren't they all knocked down? And I'll caveat here with I have a feeling like what you're going to tell me, but I want to hear what you think.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure it's because they're so high in tannins that squirrels don't go for them first. They definitely go for shagbark and pig nut stuff before the yellow bud.
I was referencing the shagbark. So
shagbark. Yeah.
You said you saw a couple that were still holding, and I was just like, what's going on with the squirrels?
There's this particular grove. There's so many shagbarks. There's probably like 50, and there's so many that are on the ground. Like the squirrels have pretty much wiped out what hasn't been collected. But I mean, I'll have to go back there and check, but I don't know. I guess I don't really have a theory other than there was so many, and there's so many in that area that, I mean, there was like one or two trees still holding some.
Yeah.
And it was windy today, so they're probably on the ground, but they were ready to drop. But yeah, I don't know why the squirrels hadn't got to them, but.
So what is the best oil for hickory nut oil? Like
yellow bud, Carya cordiformis is really the one you can use because the other ones, the shells are too thick. So I take nuts up to Sam, and he has it's like a corn, I don't remember what it's called exactly, but it's like this machine that like grinds corn up and you just throw the whole nut in. You just have to husk them and dry them down, but you can throw the whole shell and all, and it just breaks them into this like meal. And then you can run that through the oil press, and you don't have to separate the nut meats from the shells, which is what really makes it possible. Because if you had to take all the like shagbark or shell bark or anything like that, if you had to actually separate the nut meat from the shell, that would be intense, like labor intense, and it would really, I don't know if it'd be worth it.
Probably not.
And yellow bud is such a high oil content that it's amazing how much oil comes out of them.
I think I'm actually a bigger fan than hickory nut oil because it's virtually flavorless. Like it doesn't have like a real. I don't feel that it has as much like acorn oil. I feel like has more flavor.
Yeah, acorn oil is stronger, but I don't know. I think hickory oil tastes amazing. I think it's mild, but it's
very mild. Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't have flavor, but it's a very
Yeah.
mild flavor, and I prefer like a stronger, like an acorn, especially like doing a stir fry or something. You can really kick it up a notch with the old acorn oil.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are, both of you, on there's the whole vegetable oil thing,
Yep.
like with PUFAs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think, if like scientists got to study like the health benefits of acorn or hickory oil, what they would say, and would it fall into like the no vegetable oil, like
Are
or
they being paid to do the research by the big seed oil companies? I'm going to start there.
Okay. Or maybe they're getting paid by big tallow, to do the opposite.
Not buying it. Big tallow hasn't been around since the 90s, Clay. Where are you at?
Big tallow.
Big tallow.
Big tallow hasn't been around since the 90s.
Or
We're
big
rendering
lard.
it down by the megaton over here, though, at the
Yeah.
compound.
So my theory is with like hickory oil or acorn oil is, you have to eat it somewhat fresh or keep it in the fridge. If someone's leaving it out for a year or something on the counter, it's going to go rancid.
Yeah.
And a lot of the veggie oil, like, seed oils and all that, they're most likely rancid, but they're flushed with hexanes and other things to kind of take the flavor out of them. But I think fresh oil is healthy. Like definitely hickory and acorn, I would say are really healthy oils. And when you taste them, I mean, they taste amazing. And I have heard if you have fresh canola oil, even it tastes good, but I've never had it. And I'm not a fan of canola oil because it's just like mass market. It's just like big oil, right?
Cottonseed oil or
all that stuff. Cottonseed oil is a little different, I think, because I think that was I know Clay knows a little more about that probably than me, but when it was originally started to be used as food, I think they just had an excess of it and started kind of pushing
it.
Same
thing with canola oil, right? The same thing.
Yeah.
All of them were like industrial lubricants. And they were like, how do we get these into people?
How do we get these into people? Yeah, see here, Sonny.
Yeah.
I got the elixir and it's a fixer.
I've seen a chart that compared hickory oil to olive oil, and they had a lot of the same qualities, which I found really interesting.
Well, like olive oil goes
monounsaturated.
Yep, monounsaturated. Yeah, oleic acid.
Yeah.
Which I think is like 40. It's like 50 to 70% oleic acid. I could be wrong, but and that's kind of a wide variation. But yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, I've read that too. I think the hickory. I just wanted to hear you say what your opinion was.
Yeah, it's fresh. Like I keep like a quart in the fridge, and then I keep the rest in the freezer. And then I just thought when I need it, as one jar's getting low, I pull another one out. I keep out like a half gallon in the fridge. But
you know what else I like using the acorn oil for? I'm going to throw it out there. Taking hen of the woods, putting a bunch of wild bergamot in there, and cooking them down until like there's no water left, and just simmering them down in that oil, and then I can them and keep them in the freezer.
You pressure can them?
No, just can them and put them in the freezer. But I have tried pressure canning them. It doesn't really. They say you're not supposed to pressure can with oil. I'm doing more research on this.
Yeah, I was just reading that
because I think it's BS. I think there's a lot of stuff that's absolute BS, and people have been doing it for a really long time. So I'm digging into the whole rebel canning movement to learn more about this.
Yeah,
the rebel canning movement. This is a thing.
Oh, where have you been? Like, what do you live under a rock, Clay?
So you got like Princess Leia
in a sandcastle, Clay.
Like ha ha ha. Pouring, and then I'm just going to put the jar right on top of it and turn it upside down.
No, like rebel canning is saying that like the FDA doesn't always know what they're talking about when they set the guidelines for can. I said they say. I didn't say I say, Clay. They say. The rebel canning movement. Hence rebel, right? Rebel forces, rebel canning movement against the Galactic Empire.
Yeah.
I recently heard that you're not supposed to like I've been pickling maitake mushrooms for 15 years. And I recently found out that you're supposed to pressure can all your mushrooms when you can them. And I was like, I mean, I'm not saying I'm probably wrong.
Are you water bathing them?
Maybe I'm taking a risk.
Or are you hot packing them?
I'm hot water bath canning them for 15.
So you're cooking them, right? I mean, you're cooking it at that point.
Yeah.
I don't see why that would be unsafe.
And it's in a vinegar solution, but I don't know. I was reading that you should treat them like meat, but I don't know. It's crazy. I have
you'd have to pressure can them, but I don't buy it. I know. Here's the thing. People water bath meat. Before there were pressure canners, they water bath meat. Now, is it right? I mean, technically, botulism can survive that, right?
Sure.
But in a clean environment with a little bit of acidity, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would use my pressure canner over doing that however long.
Right.
But that's crazy. Yeah, you're right. People used to do that. I don't know. I've never really looked at botulism studies, but
Did you guys ever read about the very first canned food?
No.
It was Napoleon ordered
France.
canned sardines to be for made for his soldiers,
Yep.
Oh wow.
and
Because of the portability factor and how long it would stay. I know. Yep.
and they're damn delicious also.
Well,
Right.
maybe. You know, I've
I
got
prefer-
a can of sardines in my drawer at work.
Uh,
How long's it been there?
It's going up on 4 years now, I think. But here's the thing. I keep the can there because I want the notion that if I ever have the ambition to eat them, they're there. Even if I don't ever eat them. And I think I still got another 2 years on them. So
Yeah.
I got some time. I got some time to think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I prefer canned mackerel over sardines, but I do eat some sardines.
What
too.
about boneless, like fillets that doesn't have like the scales and the eyes and the whole head and everything on it? Would that be better?
they don't do the heads on sardines. I don't know where.
Okay, they cut the head off. Whatever.
yeah, yeah. They also
I kind
they're-
of like the bones in them though.
I do too. They give it a little crunch.
Yeah.
I don't
Yummy.
know, man. It's been since I was like a little kid since I ate sardines last time. But I
What
bought
is-
them.
okay.
Some are way better than others. Like there's
Yeah.
some nasty sardines out there for sure.
What, Jed? What are your favorite sardines?
Oh shoot. What is
Wild caught.
Mine,
is it Wild Planet?
yeah, Wild Planet.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the only brand that I eat because like all the other sardines are a little bit funky.
Yeah, they're a little funky for sure.
Yeah.
So you're
Wild
saying
Planet's
you
got,
don't like the funk on your fish?
I stay away from the Crown Prince.
Yeah, Crown Prince is not good sardines.
Nope.
But Luke, I think you gotta try it.
Just sack up and do it. Here's my
Yeah.
problem though. The whole gluten allergy ruins the saltine cracker thing for me. You
Mhm.
cannot get a saltine cracker that actually holds up. They're so brittle. So now it's like I got to find some alternative, some alt cracker, and it just doesn't work the same.
Sure.
Okay, or just deal with the diarrhea.
It's more than that though, Clay.
Just kidding.
Must eat sardine.
See, now it's like turning it into a whole experience. It just sounds even worse than just eating a can of sardines. I might as well just get a fork and dig in.
That's what I do. I don't even I skip the fork.
You're
I
just
grab
kind
the-
of savage though. Like,
They're good with mustard too. I like a spicy brown mustard.
ooh,
on
that
them.
sounds good. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
What about an olive oil versus water?
I like water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
just assume the olive oil's probably not even real olive oil, but I don't know.
Oh man. Okay. All right.
You
I
know,
just don't.
I
I just don't like
even
it.
with Wild Planet, like they seem like they're kind of on the up and up, legit.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, I could be
I haven't
wrong.
seen a TikTok, blowing them out of the water yet.
Yeah.
Hey, I like what you did there. Fish company,
I get it.
Yeah.
That's why I said it, Clay. All right.
and
So, where were we?
we
We're talking about hickory nut oil.
nuts.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Now we're talking about
So how do you
sardines.
guys press it? Like, do you got a big giant hydraulic press with like 2 press plates? Do you got to press it hot? What do you do?
It's a commercial expeller press. So Sam has like a real deal press. And no, it's not there's like an auger on it. And there's just like a big feeding area, and you can I don't really know how to describe it. It's an expeller press. Have you ever
Okay.
seen one?
Yeah, so
Yeah. It heats it a little. The oil's not coming out hot,
but I
but
think
it does use
the
some
heat isn't from it's from the friction though, right?
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Correct. Yeah. And Sam would be the person to talk to about detail on
Well, I
that,
think
but-
like an expeller press is like a screw press where the fit keeps getting tighter and tighter, so it forces to where the solid drops out of one spot and then the liquid continues through the screw.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
The press cake is what we call it. Comes out one area, and it looks like beef, like jerky sticks. It's like, and it breaks off and
Nice.
drops into the.
Do you guys
bucket, and
do
then the
anything
oil
with
comes
that?
No, it's so high in tannins.
I wonder if you could use it as like fire starters or something though.
It's non-porous. Like there's no pores in it. It's like so dense. Because I said, oh, these would be amazing for like smoking things because it's hickory, but it's non-porous, so they don't really burn.
Ah,
It's like too dense.
Hmm.
But I believe you could use it in the tanning, like for tanning hides, because it's so high in tannins. And I think if you guys know Nicholas Wazigale, I'm pretty sure he did some hides with it.
Oh wow.
who's this?
Yeah, which is cool. I have a
Nick
bag of
Wazzy guy.
What was that?
He's a Wisconsinite, right?
Yeah, he lives in the Driftless and he teaches tracking and foraging and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty cool dude. I think I
Yeah.
actually asked him to come on the podcast at one point, and then he just he was like a lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, definitely," and then
Kind of like
This-
Jed did for a long time. Well, first it was, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't do podcast stuff. And then now, like, he's excited to be here. You can look at the smile on his face. I mean, he's having fun.
yeah, for the listeners, he has a smile.
No, I'm not.
Okay, yeah. Well, you can hear it in his voice, the excitement. I don't. Yeah.
Well, I never really get to talk to you guys, so it's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's even weirder. Like, you live so much closer than Clay does to me.
Yeah.
But we don't do nothing. I don't know what's
know.
going on there.
Yeah, we should get together.
Yeah.
The Kankakee River is nice. I was really surprised. Like the water quality seemed, I mean, I don't know details, but
Did you know that that's the cleanest river in the entire state of Illinois?
holy cow, I did not know that.
It is.
But when
I-
I saw it, I was pleasantly surprised. I was
Yeah.
like, I can see the bottom.
Yeah.
Which
It's also time of year.
Yeah, that's true.
We're in the driest. Well, it's always when you were there. Like, it's pretty much always the driest from August to September-ish, end of September. It's pretty much the driest, lowest time of the year.
Mm.
Although you were there in October, so
Yeah.
whatever.
It was still dry though.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
we
low.
haven't had rain. We hadn't had rain in a bit. Yeah.
It's still low. But
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
some pictures up here where I live. We've had a real bad drought too, and where there's docks in Lake Michigan,
Oh,
and they're like the water's 25 feet away.
Wow.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is crazy.
But that totally happens on the bay up here. It's like a cyclical thing. When I first moved here, the water level was way out farther than it currently is, and used to have, all these people have their houses up on like Old Mission Peninsula, and then like though they'd have their docks at one point in time were put in when the water level was high, but then when it fluctuates and goes out, it'll be like 50 feet away.
So they
Wow.
just add on to the dock then?
Yeah,
or-
they just basically add on to the dock. Yeah,
Nice.
And that's the Grand Traverse Bay you're talking about?
yeah.
Oh wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It fluctuates that much.
Well, I mean, it's just all of Lake Michigan
Yeah.
will fluctuate. I'm just speaking to what I can see
Sure.
nearby. But yeah, the drought has been crazy, and it's like affecting like large portions. I mean, drought's not really a good word though, because like I did get rain last night here.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're still at a rain deficit. Like,
Yeah.
I know we are at a huge deficit, even though we got like a half inch the other day. It wasn't even enough to make anything really wet more than a couple hours.
Yep.
But I've noticed it's affecting the deer hunting a little bit because
Oh, yeah?
now, so I didn't see any deer until I actually started hunting closer to water now. Like, water is one of the sources that I feel like is more of a necessity over food because I've got food everywhere. I don't have to hone in on anything, but if I hone in on the water because it's been so dry, it has produced more deer than not.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
and over by us there's it's called blue tongue, correct, Luke?
Yeah, EHD, blue tongue, hemorrhagic fever. Pretty
so-
bad stuff. But we've had a frost, so it's probably killed most of it off now.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have been finding a lot of dead deer around here, like even some mature bucks, and like it's crazy.
Lots of death.
My
Yeah.
uncle's friend has come across 10 dead deer in the woods so far.
Yeah.
Isn't that a good thing for you guys with your humongous populations of deer?
I don't think it's as bad as you think it is, Clay. It's not as overrun as the state's not freaking out like Southern Michigan is. But they also do culling around us. So they try and keep the population in check in the areas where there is CWD. They mow it down pretty much to where it's almost non-existent anyway to keep it from spreading. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are probably heartbroken right now. All these bucks that they had on camera last year and probably some of this year are now gone, just disappearing, not showing up. And then it actually takes the deer herd about 4 years to recover to where you start getting mature deer again to where
is this is related to lack of water somehow?
No, it's actually it's a gnat. And I can't remember the name. I actually just looked it up the other day. It's a specific type of gnat, the real small little black ones, that carry it, and then they get on the fly, or they fly and land on the deer and like get around their eye or something and bite them, and it transfers it to them, and then basically their brain starts hemorrhaging. They get a fever and they like go to water and die.
Wow.
It might. I heard that the gnats are in like kind of mucky bottomlands, like where deer are going to get water, and that's where they're getting them. Is that true, Luke?
I don't know. I mean,
okay.
I've
Like
seen the
like,
gnats other places, but maybe that
okay.
that could be like to where they are in there, and it does make sense, right? In a dry year, they would go there. I don't know the answer to that though for sure. Clay's probably Googling it right now.
Nope,
not
Googling anything.
You don't care?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll just let's do it like old.
Let's have Jamie. Hey Jamie, can you look that up?
No, let's just do it the old-fashioned way. We'll just guess about it and pretend we know.
Speculate and pontificate.
Act as if we know.
I think it actually comes from a mosquito, and the mosquitoes first feed off the larva of the cedar wasp, and that's where it comes from.
Nope.
That sounds good to me.
Yep.
Yeah, I was over. I was over to see Kankakee mallow, and I ended up finding some seed on the shore. I didn't take any off the island.
Yeah, you want to stay away from that island.
Yeah, I know it's really protected and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not allowed to go.
Have you seen it in
on the island?
No, I went out on the island, but to see the population.
Okay.
Did you find any garlic mustard on the island?
No.
That's good.
But no, I didn't see any. Yeah, they have like a fenced off area for the Kankakee, like the bigger patch that I saw. But cool plan. I'm excited to go back and see it flowering. I'm actually excited to try to germinate some seeds too.
Well, if we go catfishing next summer, you can see it in full bloom. I showed one of my friends and I go, "You see this right here?" I said, "This is the greater Kankakee marsh mallow." And he's like, "What?" I said, "This is the Kankakee mallow. It's the rare endangered plant, even though this year it was not endangered. It was all over because of the spring floods. Must have washed a bunch of like the seed bank all over in different places of the river. And it was just spreading all over the place and in full bloom with like these pinkish colored blooms. Really cool."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did some research on germinating them because it's a fire dependent plant. And I think that's why it's only on that island. Like, I think lack of fire on the landscape really kind of keeps it there, because when the folks who are looking after it just started, they were like, what do we do? Right? Like, we want to, like, this is a forested island. I guess let's keep it a forest. And then they weren't seeing any like seeds. They weren't seeing any germination. So they were like, well, let's clear some of this honeysuckle. So they cut all the honeysuckle and they were like, but let's not burn it, because this is like a ecologically like, whatever. So some folks didn't get the memo and they went out there and hacked all the honeysuckle, or some of the honeysuckle, on another work party day or whatever. And they burned it because they didn't realize they shouldn't. And then the following July, they went out and they saw these rings of Kankakee mallows germinating around where they had burned the honeysuckle.
That's awesome.
They were like, oh, okay.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if all the stuff that spread from the seed bank that got like pushed all over the place and flooded, and it was like every what do you call it when like the river pushes out, like ebb? Is that an ebb, Clay? Where it ebbs and then flows?
Yeah, I don't know that specific
But like
terminology.
where the bank pushes out, we'll just say where the bank pushes out and it got caught.
Yeah.
It was just giant stands of it all over growing. And I was like, this is so cool. Because
Crazy.
a lot of years you don't see that on that. But like this year, it was just rampant.
Yeah, I saw a lot of native hibiscus along the shores too. It had all gone to seed, but that was kind of cool.
Very nice.
Along the
You
shores
just did some native hibiscus, right?
Yeah, I grew some for the first time this year. It's an awesome plant.
Do you eat the hibiscus?
What was that? Sorry.
Do you eat it?
Yeah. So this is the smooth rose mallow. It's a great plant all around, but beautiful. Like the young greens are good. There's the seed pods are good. The flowers are pretty good. The flower buds are good. It's kind of like some mallow, so slight okra.
Do you get a slight euphoric feeling from the mallow or / hibiscus?
Do I?
I don't know. Do you in general with the hibiscus? Isn't that supposed to be like hibiscus tea is supposed to be like slightly euphoric?
Yeah, I think that's Roselle hibiscus. I think that's like the mass, like what they grow in mass for tea.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't heard that, so I don't know.
Clay, weigh in on this.
Well, I know that when I used to live in Mexico, people would drink hibiscus, better known as Jamaica, and I used to drink it all the time. Never felt euphoria.
Lame.
It's very popular.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, Jed. So you're talking about eating the young greens of these things, and I can't help but doubt that people were out there on the landscape, like, farmers and hunters, and they're just like out there, unless they're absolutely starving, of course, but just like chowing down on all these slimy greens.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. You might be right. I actually really like, when you eat the basswood leaves when they first emerge and they're kind of like mucilaginous. I actually really like that. I feel like it's really good to eat like those mucilaginous greens. I feel like it's really good for your digestive tract.
Yeah. No, but, I mean, no doubt. I'm just curious, like, what you think if people were actually like out there, like, common mallow, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see it. I could see it being like food medicine, really, too, right?
Yeah.
Because like, you guys have never had glade mallow, have you?
Well, I have the one that I got from you this summer, and it's still alive. It's just sitting there.
Yep.
Actually,
you should be able to eat some next year. It'll probably put some shoots up, but that's a really okra type plant, like really mucilaginous.
Not really a huge okra fan.
No,
other than like in gumbos or whatever. You know, like I don't know if I'd just be munching on okra by itself.
Have you guys ever had like pickled okra? Like there's one called smokra. It's kind of it's like $10. It's expensive, but we buy one every now and then. So it's pickled okra, but it has like smoked paprika and garlic.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
You would like it.
I'm in.
I'm fairly confident you would like it.
Where do I get said okra?
Smokra.
I don't know. I don't know what groceries you have over there, stores, but
I'm gonna smokra.
I mean, like maybe like a health food store, possibly like I don't know if Meijer would have it or
the big Hy-Vee. They got everything.
Hy-Vee might have it. Yeah.
Every time I think of okra, the only thing that ever comes to mind is one time I was dropping off some food to the cook's house here in Traverse City, and Chef Eric was like talking about how okra he compared it to boiled snot.
Ooh.
And and so that's every time all I can think is boiled snot.
Good stuff.
So, needless to say, he didn't like using it, is what you're saying.
Nope, he does not like. He does not like using it.
Well, pickling it doesn't know.
Yeah,
I feel like pickling it. I don't know. It doesn't have that feeling, that mouthfeel, that texture. I don't know if they're like blanching it before. I don't know their technique, but I grew up eating pickled okra and never eating fresh okra, but I was always eating pickled okra as a kid.
Sounds like you eat a lot of pickled stuff. Then
I like pickled stuff. I don't eat as much pickled stuff as I should.
I like pickles. I pickle stuff.
But you were already talking about the pickled maitake.
Yeah, I like.
Who's the first person you're texting right after you shoot a big buck? For me, I always text my dad. Good news is we'll be able to start sending those texts as hunting season is finally here. An Academy Sports and Outdoor store has everything to gear you up for the field for less. Plus, shop a wide selection of ammo, shotguns, rifles, feeders, game cameras, camo, deer corn, and more from the brands that you trust. Text HUNT24, that's HUNT24, at 22369 to take $20 off when you spend $100 on hunting supplies at academy.com. And if you need to grab a hunting license, you can pick it up in-store while you're shopping.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
I've been into like fermentation and pickling stuff since I was like 21, 22 probably.
Mm-hmm. But when you're saying pickles, are you talking like I'm imagining vinegar pickles?
Yep. So the maitake I'm doing vinegar, but yeah, I consider both pickled, but yeah, the maitakes I'm doing vinegar, but when I make like cucumber pickles, I ferment them, lacto ferment them.
I see.
Other like that.
I've only done the cucumber pickles a couple times, and I feel like because they're already so soft, and then you lacto ferment them, like they take on like an extremely softer texture.
Oh yeah, so you can't ferment them for long, and you need to have some tannins in the jar. So I use like a bunch of oak
leaves.
You can do oak leaves too, or raspberry, whatever. You just need tannins. So I ferment them. It's also important when you harvest your cucumbers. You want to do it you want to cool them really quick, and then I've read that sometimes I don't cool them. I'll just harvest them and then I'll make pickles right away. Though you don't want to like let them sit around for a bit.
Yeah.
But I only ferment them for like 3 days because it's usually high summer, so it's hot. So I'll ferment like 3 days on the counter and then put them in my fridge and leave them in there for like at least 2 weeks to 2 to 4 weeks.
Back off some of the
Yeah, because then they'll slowly ferment in there, but it slows it down a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, add a bunch of garlic, fresh dill, black pepper.
Because I've done it to where I've eaten them after like 4 days, and they're almost fizzy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like it's like I'm biting into a fizzy cucumber right now. It's a weird mouthfeel. I'm not saying I don't like it, but it's interesting.
Yeah. I think it's important to put them in your fridge and let them sit in there for a while to kind of absorb the flavors and the brine. Otherwise, sometimes you just feel like you dip the cucumber in salty water with garlic, and if you ferment them for 3 days and then eat them fresh, it's just not. It hasn't like penetrated in enough in my.
Yeah. I like fermented veggies a lot, but I never do fermented cucumbers.
I did whole ramp leaves with carrots and like a buttload of like chili flakes and stuff in there this year. Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
Nice. Mm-hmm. I made a kraut with ramp leaves a few years ago and like really overloaded it, and it was funky.
That's awesome.
I ate it, but it was funky.
Yeah,
for sure.
You make any kimchi?
Yeah, I used to have like a super small little. I used to sell kimchi and krauts and pickles and stuff like that at this local health food store that's no longer here, that my friends ran.
Well,
I have big crocks and stuff that I ferment, and not so much anymore. I usually just do it in like a gallon jar now. But
okay, I was gonna say I'll buy it if you're doing it in the mass.
Yeah, if I take it some, I'll just give you some. Yeah.
What are you doing, Clay? What are you doing, Clay?
I was trying to
pontificate.
No, I was trying to think of a subject here. That's not talking about pickles anymore.
Yeah, so I'd like to talk about the Kankakee Mallet for one more second.
Yeah,
so I saw the study. I was like, how am I going to germinate these? I could do a little burn in my garden, but I was like, I wonder if I could hot water treat them. Like a lot of those kind of like bean family, like not bean family, but like Illinois bundleflower and like black locust. So yeah, I guess Fabaceae, but this isn't Fabaceae, but I just wondered if I could treat it in the same way. And it turns out, yes, you can, but it's like they did a study and it's basically 176 degrees for 20 seconds. The water, 176 degree water, submerge the seeds for 20 seconds. And that seems to have the highest germination rate. Even doing like a little less heat on the water and a little more, the germination starts to go down, which I found to be very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a go and see what happens.
So you have to like be that precise.
I'm gonna tempt it because I want as high a germination rate as I can, but I kind of want to like mess around and maybe go a little over and a little under with some and see what the rates are. But yeah, I thought that was cool. Someone did a study on that.
So what do the seeds look like? They look like those wacky, like when you get hollyhock seeds. They look kind of like that.
Not really. They're really small. They're like a little. Have you ever seen an Illinois bundleflower seed? It's like a little bean. It's like a little bean, and it looks like, or you know what? They kind of look like sort of similar to like an actual marshmallow, like the officinalis seed.
Yeah, I have those.
They're small though. Yeah, so similar to that.
I grow that plant, but because the it's like one of my favorite medicines to have around.
Oh yeah, marshmallow root's amazing.
Yeah.
What do you do with it, Clay?
It's got these enormous freaking tap roots. It's like really worth your while to grow.
Absolutely.
I mean, they can be like 12 inches long and like real girthy, and they
you make a mucinal mucinolaginous. Wow.
Mucilaginous?
Yes,
they're
thank you. Tea with that.
Yeah,
like you steep it in hot water and just let it all ooze out into there. Make
it's crazy too because
looking.
Yeah, it's
crazy
like
almost syrupy. After.
Yeah, if you put the tea in a strainer, right? And then you go to like pour water through it, it's just like it doesn't penetrate. You actually have to like submerge it in the water and then like pull it out.
Yeah.
Or like use it. Yeah.
So have you heard of Luke, have you heard of like the common throat coat tea?
Yes.
Yeah, so marshmallow root. Marshmallow root.
No, I have. I was just sorry. My mind wandered for a second. It went in a different direction. I wanted to say something sarcastic.
We were talking about something girthy. And
yes, and I refrained. I was being an adult, and you're still coming at me, Clay. Yes, I've heard of throat coat tea. Go on, Jed.
It's marshmallow root, I think, is like the main ingredient in that.
It's like mint, marshmallow root, and some
I think slippery elm's in there as well, which is another one that's similar. It has similar uses, but
yeah, it's an awesome medicine.
Yeah, it is.
I like to have it a lot.
Isn't it like a gut healer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very soothing to the digestive tract, and it's also used for UTIs. I've read. Or protecting from them as well. There's a lot of benefits to the root as medicine, but
yeah, I mean, and like to some extent too, the leaves and all that stuff as well, just like all of the other mallow plants. I mean, I feel like the whole genus kind of shares that characteristic. It's just that for me, it's like such an easy plant to grow. Marshmallow, like it's like so easy, and then the reward of these like gigantic tap roots, and then the flowers last for a really long time.
Yeah,
absolutely. And pollinators love them. I don't know.
Well, it sounds like I need to plant some. What's going on?
Yeah, we offer marshmallow root on our website,
like bare root that I can transplant, or
absolutely.
Okay, that's it. I'm gonna have to go on there.
It's a good plant to have.
Is it a
for sure.
springtime planter or is it a put it in the ground now kind of thing?
Either way.
Yeah.
It's a very low maintenance plant to grow.
Yeah. So you did your persimmons. You're gonna be eating that like crazy. You got your hickory nuts. What do you sort of do? You know, like I know we've talked about like your sprouts in the winter, but like, do you do any like active kind of foraging stuff in the winter months, or you just kind of lay low?
Hybrid.
Basically it'd be like pine and,
Yeah,
that's probably mostly what I'd be out gathering.
just white pine.
Yeah, unless there's like some late hanging nanny berries or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I've got some.
I mean, I do like digging wild parsnips in the winter too, if the ground's not frozen.
Yeah.
Cornelian cherries. How long before I start noticing that they're there if I planted them?
You mean from seed?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they can be double dormant, so 2 years to germinate.
Okay.
But I would go check the spot, and they have dogwood leaves, so.
All right. I don't know. I haven't seen them. I haven't noticed them. But then this year I also noticed, I was like, what's growing back here? Is this hops? And it wasn't. It was, now see, Clay's going to make me really think about this.
Well, Oriental bittersweet?
No. No, it was, let me look at it again. Find the picture. The cucumber, the little tiny climbing.
Bird cucumbers?
What is it? Burr cucumber. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, because it was like taking over like 4 trees, just spanning all the way around them and across them and everything. And I was like, holy cow, this is getting aggressive this year. Is that like a drought, like super drought hardy plant or something that like it spread so rapidly this year? No
I do
idea.
not know.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know. I'm not sure.
no,
Can't
I
eat
mean,
them, so I don't really care if I can't eat them. So
yeah, they're perfectly useless in my mind.
yes, thank you.
No, not really.
But I'm actually kind of glad it wasn't hops, because that could be pretty aggressive too.
Yeah, hops is crazy.
Yeah.
I had the idea of plant like revenge against neighbors you don't like.
Just plant a bunch of hops in there.
There's tons of things you could plant, and like one
Sun
of
jokes.
sun jokes. Hops. You could do anything. Just like anything, you could just do peppermint on your border of your property.
Geez. Yeah.
Like anything.
Clay. And just take over their lawn with it.
Yeah, I had this idea because I accidentally did this one time where I planted hops on a fence at a house that I lived in downtown Traverse City. And I mean it would go over, and then it started, like they go under rhizome, and it started to come up in the neighbors, and they were just like hacking it. What do I do? Like, freaking out about like all the hops and all.
Yeah.
I was like, this would actually be like great, like plant terrorism. To, like,
right.
Like if you had a neighbor, if you just like had a neighbor you didn't like, you could plant like native species. Like I'm just being a responsible steward.
Yeah. Yeah, but the unfortunate thing of that was, that they would just go buy some herbicide and frickin' douse it, and that'd be right on the other side of your fence.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, that could come back at you in the worst way.
Darn it, man. You guys are ruining my dreams here.
2,4-D and everything over there.
Yep. Yeah, some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but hops, they're that's a cool one that well, it's past their prime now, right? But do you guys have hops wild down by you?
Yep. Yeah, I do.
Not that I haven't really seen them that much though. Like, are they?
I mean, they're not like a bunch. I don't see them everywhere.
They're not like in the drift list, like like
right, like
over at the whatever where they do the Midwest Harvest. Like that's an insane amount of hops.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I know of maybe like 5 spots or something.
Are they close to that hop farm? That's not too far from you.
I don't know about that hop farm.
Oh, well, there's a hop farm. Not that.
No.
Yeah. Maybe they're
Yeah.
feral hops.
Yeah, maybe. How long's the farm been there? Because I've seen these hops growing for quite a while.
15 years, maybe.
Oh, interesting.
I think.
You know, what I think is funny about hops is they're native to North America, and yet settlers came here, brewed beer with the hops, and then they still deluded themselves into thinking that they had brought them from Europe.
Say that
Must
again.
have been the beer.
So
I said that
native
settlers they came here, they brew beer with wild hops, and then they still somehow convinced themselves that they must have accidentally brought the hops on their ships or something in the soil, and like they spread all over the place, even though they were just like finding hops everywhere.
That's weird.
You
it
know,
wasn't like they brought
no.
hops and there was hops here, and now you got like a bunch of cross
I think they
varieties,
probably brought hops. They probably brought hops too, but they were definitely brewing beer with wild hops.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like
why
why
did they even choose to use the hops? Why wouldn't they just brew wild beer with a bunch of other wild stuff?
Because of the German beer purity law.
Because they wanted to make everybody produce more estrogen and mellow everybody out.
Yes, exactly. Have you read Sacred and Herbal Healing Beers?
Yeah.
I have that part.
Have you read that part though, Jed? Where they talk?
Yeah. The
I
German
like
Beer Purity Act.
The Alaskan Bootlegger's Bible a little bit better, though. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm more into some Applejack, if you know what I mean.
Applejack.
Get a little bit of that methyl and ethyl in there.
I love the smell of wild hops, though. I just love they smell good.
Have you ever jacked cider, Clay?
Have I ever jacked cider? No, I have not.
That's what they call it,
No,
applejacking. And so in the Yukon, where it gets cold enough, or up by Clay, or at least used to, who knows? Anyway, you take the cider that's hard cider, and you take it and put it outside, and the water freezes in it, and you keep scooping the ice off of it until you're left with nothing but alcohol. Or at least a higher percentage of alcohol. And then you drink it. Just don't drink too much because you can't really distill it to get out the methyl alcohol. Or no, sorry, ethyl, and you're left with methyl and ethyl, which is kind of unsafe. You could go blind.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Is that a real thing?
What?
You can
because
I always
when you distill, like your impurities are coming off at the lower end, and at the higher end is where your alcohol is, and so you're not getting the ethyl alcohol. You're only getting the methyl, or no, vice versa. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, and one of them will make you go blind.
Holy moly! Well,
that's crazy.
Well, it's like toxicity; it builds up or something, and then
Wow.
So when the people were making the bathtub gin back in the day and they didn't distill it right, that's why they'd say, "Oh, it'll make you go blind." Well, toxicity builds up. Yeah.
Sure.
I thought they were talking about something else making you going blind.
The juniper berries?
No.
I get what you're doing there. I get it, you sicko.
But anyway, Jed, what's the likelihood that any of us can talk you into getting into hunting?
Very
high.
Very
I talked
high.
to Luke about it. Yeah. I need to take my hunter safety course.
See, this is the biggest problem I have with people. I'm like, hey, listen, I've got everything you need. All you have to do is take a hunter safety course. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. And then what do? 2 years later, I hit this said person or persons up, right? Hey, how's that hunter safety going? Did you get that? Oh, no, I didn't get that done yet. Hey, did you know you could do that all online now, right?
I just learned that.
I do know that. Yeah,
I just learned that. I just learned I could do that online. And I was like, wow. Yeah, I think I'd love to start with squirrels.
Let's do it. Let's have a squirrel slam.
Awesome, man.
I would actually love to come down and join you guys for that because
well, what are you waiting for?
squirrel hunting, you guys have fox squirrels too, I imagine.
Yes.
right?
Yeah, we have a lot of fox squirrel. We have fox gray, and then there's a couple black around in town. I don't see them in the woods, but there's a few around my neighborhood, which I think's pretty cool.
Well, that's very progressive of you. But squirrels are amazing, and as you know, I filmed recently an episode of Wild Fed with
There are some places
a
where you
squirrel
can't
part in it, and
around here where you can't actually harvest fox squirrel.
Oh, wow.
really,
And I don't, I was just looking at that. I don't know. This year I haven't looked because it's so hard to navigate the regulations. They've changed so many things. The state of Illinois now has like 3 separate websites, and you have to click links back and forth to all these different websites to try and just navigate through all of it. It's such a tangled mess that I couldn't even find when the season date for pheasant hunting opened in the state of Illinois.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was
That's odd.
so convoluted. Didn't happen. And then finally I just called the office and I'm like, hey, when does the northern zone of pheasant hunting? Oh, yeah, that's the first weekend in November. Okay, thank you. It's like,
are you going to go out pheasant hunting?
No, I just wanted to know how it was going to interrupt my deer hunting.
Dude, do you guys have pheasant, like wild pheasants? Because Michigan is doing this really lame thing where they
We do both.
they
Release-
just
farm
they just
them and
release
release them. Yeah,
yeah, and then,
that's all
and
I
then,
know of.
and it's like, how is this any different other than the fact that you're fighting up against like a million people to try to shoot these pheasants? But they release them in game areas.
Mhm.
Everybody knows the day they're releasing them.
Well,
or they know the day they open for
so
hunting.
the way the state does it in Illinois for the controlled pheasant areas is they have designated areas that are controlled pheasant areas, multiple fields, right?
Mhm.
It used to be a lottery system. You would show up the morning of, put your name or hunting party group in the thing. They'd roll the drum, pull it out. If you got pulled, you hunt that day. And they'd take X amount of groups per fields. Then it changed to a online reservation. First first come, first serve for online reservations, any open spots, lottery that morning. Then, now it's changed to a permit system. You have to apply for the permit and then pick your days for the permit. So it might change the whole dynamic. I think this year is the first year that that's happened. I've noticed they haven't maintained very many of those pheasant fields. And they've also said that they're going to release pheasants based upon permit numbers. So that also changes. It used to be certain days of the week they'd release X amount in random fields. And then like you would go out and you'd hunt. And then you'd get your daily limit. It used to be daily limit of 3 hens or roosters because they're stocking them, right? They're not wild.
Mm-hmm.
Now I believe it's a daily harvest limit of 2. So it's actually a lower number. And you used to have to pay too. So here's the kicker, right? It used to be like $30 and you'd get 3 birds, $10 a piece. Now they're limiting it to 2 birds, and I think it's more than $30. It's like
Wow.
at that point, other than if you have a dog and you want to work the dog, what is the point?
I don't know, man.
That's expensive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you ever do the math on some of these out of state hunts?
Oh,
where you-
jeez, yeah, like elk hunts in Colorado. It's like
Yeah.
thousands of dollars.
But
like,
if
what-
you're successful.
Yeah, but it's at that point you're not doing it for meat. You know, you're doing it for meat plus
Adventure, experience.
adventure. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, my mind, as I've said many times on the show, I just like, I can't stop the economic part from like rattling off in my brain. I'm like,
Well,
I'm
then
like,
why do you duck hunt? That's not economical.
I like duck. It's not. You're right. It's not economical, but I like duck meat.
Why don't
And-
you duck on over here and get you some?
Have you guys Have you guys started up there, Clay?
Duck hunting?
Yeah.
Yeah, duck season opened. I've got a lot going on in my life, and I haven't even bought a tag this year.
Okay.
Last weekend it started for us. Well, maybe not you,
yeah.
but for us. Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle's buddies go out and like, whatever. I don't think at their limit, but then they drop a bunch at his house, and then he calls me, and I go clean them and just get to keep the meat, which is cool.
Oh, really?
But yeah, like I missed his call the other day, and he's like, I had 3 or 4 woods and a couple teals, and I was like, because the wood ducks are probably my favorite. But
teal's good too.
Teal is really good.
Like you just had like the premium of all ducks right there in one grouping.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I'm lucky in that.
I mean, it's not like Clay eating the mergansers and the freaking spoonbills.
The spoonbills are hardcore. They're like liver.
Yeah.
I've never eaten a merganser. I actually was just telling this to somebody recently.
I'm sorry, coots, not mergansers, but coots.
Yeah. But every time a merganser comes in, at first when they're flying into your setup, you're like, yeah, you get all pumped up, and then you're like, merganser, no, and you're like, don't pull the trigger.
Are you not allowed to, or
no? You are. It's just like
not good eaters.
Yeah, I'm like you know how like as a hunter sometimes, especially duck hunting, you just want to pull the trigger. You're like, I want to shoot something.
Absolutely.
I'm
not saying I have shot a decoy before, but I may have shot a decoy just because I wanted to shoot a duck.
Oh my God. That is
that's funny.
Take this, you stupid decoy. No.
Yeah, but no, you have to override that feeling when the merganser comes in, because you're like, I don't want to eat that thing.
Do you guys goose hunt at all?
Again, I would love to goose hunt. My biggest issue is like, it's like the good old boys club around here, man. Like the best place to hunt geese is cornfields.
Okay.
And I've talked to numerous
Is that politically correct, Clay? Can we say the good old boys club on the show?
I don't know. I mean,
okay.
I
don't know.
I'm just saying. It just seems like everybody's like all the farmers in the area. Like you just can't get permission to hunt their fields. I mean, I'll be driving by right now, daily.
Yeah, around us and Jed. I gotta say this though, it's leased land from hunting clubs that have dominated almost all of the areas. They have all the good fields, all the flyways completely taken over.
Wow.
To where, and it's like not cheap for these clubs to buy into them. And then you still have to like lottery within these clubs to try and get what fields you want. And then you can only take like, X amount of guests and all kinds of stuff. It's kind of crazy, but that seems to have dominated a lot of the area around us. Yeah, it sucks. So I know your pain, Clay. And then here's the other thing. You cripple one and it lands in another field, and technically you trespass if you go get it. Like,
yeah,
what do you do? And then especially if like there's other hunters over there and they're not getting their limit in another field, do you think they're going to want you to come and take that?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I know, but then they're like, ha ha, just got this goose somebody else shot.
Yeah.
Bragging to their friends.
They don't care.
Yeah, I usually get a few of those as well from the drop-offs, and I clean them up and eat them. But I made a pastrami. I think it was the meat eater's recipe.
That's good.
The goose pastrami was, amazing. Highly recommend you guys try it.
Corn goose pastrami, or like Italian beefs with goose, or like jerky. Other than that, I don't want to eat it.
Yeah, goose is pretty gross, but I just feel like it's kind of like, especially me and you, Jed, we harvest wild rice.
Sure.
It is our duty to eat geese,
right?
because they
can wipe out bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially new plants.
Have either of you guys ever tried making like, I guess like pressed meats would be the word? like a deli ham. You know how they like cut it up into, they grind it into like 3 different grinds. Like one's cubed, the other one's whatever, and then they like season it, let it cure, and then press it and like boil it. I've been thinking about
I never have.
doing that, like making like lunch meat out of like a bunch of goose and just like random other stuff, and maybe it'll be amazing. I don't know, but that's like my thoughts lately on like meats for like
Cool.
crappy meats.
Do you know, speaking of crappy meats, you know what I did the other day? I was in the store and I saw some Spam.
I love Spam, dude.
And I was like, I have not had any of this since I was a child. I was like, I wonder what it tastes like. I just don't know. So I bought a can of it and I opened it and I'm just sitting there eating.
Did you eat it cold or did you cook it?
No, I ate it cold. Yeah, and it was pretty
bad.
weird.
I'm gonna say not bad if say like you're like on a hiking trip or on a hunting trip and it's like day 4 or 5, you're like depleted of food and you like slurp those nasty fats right off of it cold.
Oh!
Like at that moment, it tastes good, right?
Okay.
But otherwise,
Never
if
had
you're at home, you take that Spam and you cut it into like 1/4-inch thick slabs. Get a frying pan, nice and hot. Put a little butter or whatever, little acorn oil, and slap those bad boys in there and let them get a crisp on each side. You will like it, but the rest of the day you will be drinking a lot of water.
Because it's so salty.
Sodium content is through the roof. Cannot be good for you.
Yeah.
But on an occasion, not bad. I'll eat a Spam and egger.
A Spam and egger.
Spam and egger, man.
Spam and egger. Fun.
It's just funny to like try to. I've just been in a very like open mindset lately about like trying like. I mean, it's like funny. I've been in an open mindset about trying garbage. Like,
and that's
like
fine.
I'm not normally like, oh yeah, I want to eat Spam. Normally I'd be like, Spam. That's for people that don't know about good food.
No, I think that's what I'm saying though. I'm gonna make a Spam like whatever. I'm gonna buy one of those. You can get it on Amazon for like $15, to where like you put the ends on and put the spring, screw the caps in it, like spring compresses it, and then you boil it, and it cooks the ham inside or whatever inside there. And then you take it and you put it in the fridge, let it cool overnight, and then you pop that bad boy out of there. And next thing you know, you got some lunch meat. And my buddy gave me a meat slicer, industrial one, that's from his parents' grocery store. Back in like the 80s and 90s, they had a grocery store, and he gave me the meat slicer, and I actually tweaked my back trying to lift the dang thing because it's so heavy. And then, I finally moved it into my basement. Now I got to clear a spot on like a prep table, and I'm going to put it on there, and then it's final resting place right there. And then, but now I got that meat slicer. I want meats. I want to slice meats. Make the deli meats. What's cool is there's a ticket on it though. That's an old like a sales ticket, and on that ticket, like the receipt, it's got the thicknesses for like, it says duck breast and says like the thickness like 3.5 or whatever, and then the other one is a different thickness. So that's kind of cool. Like somebody wrote that down and taped it to it, and it's still there. I'm leaving it.
Wow, I've never had a sliced duck breast. It sounds like an interesting sandwich.
Sounds amazing, right? There's like a little bit of smokiness to it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're falling off. The wheels are falling off.
No, I was going to say, Jed, you should. You've been talking an awful lot about your website. Before we get there, though, we have to cover the basics. What is the nastiest wild food you've ever eaten?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say, I guess I'm going to say European high bush cranberry.
That's a good one. That is the worst one. Metallic, sweaty
gym socks.
Gym socks.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound that bad.
Have you had them, Luke?
It doesn't. No, I haven't. Where would I even have a European high bush cranberry unless I
You'll
go
see
to
them
like?
around you'll see them like the post office here has like one on the other
Really?
side of the fence. Yeah.
Just like random, or like they put it in the landscape?
No, like someone planted it,
Okay, well,
Yep.
I'm gonna have
And
to
a lot
go
of
to
the
the post
nurseries that
office.
a lot of nurseries sell them as American high bush. They're actually European. Because Americans high bush cranberry, I know Clay's not really a fan, but I like them.
I mean, I will say that they have slightly, ever so slightly, grown on me like a tiny bit. They're
Sure.
still like weird. Like I'm like, why would anybody like go out of their way to eat, like, unless you were starving? It's like that's like a weird feature of the foraging world, is that we all do these things where we like eat these like mediocre foods, and then we're like, oh, it's so cool because it's like,
I don't
and
like,
it's like
cranberries per se by themselves. You add them to something.
uh-huh.
Never in my life
This is
would I have
not-
thought. I'm just saying, never in
No,
my
but I'm
life.
saying it's not like cranberries.
What do you mean? A high bush
The
cranberry?
high bush
still-
cranberries are just not like cranberry. I know that people are like,
I don't
"Oh,
like
yes, they
I don't
are."
like regular cranberries that much. This is
Yeah.
what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, you dry them, you grind them up, and add them to like meat.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think it'd be a terrible combination, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's for real. It's good.
Yeah.
Like you take
You
and make
guys-
some pemmican and throw some cranberry in there, and then you're sitting there gnawing on it on the side of a
Yeah.
mountain, and you're like, "Hey, this ain't bad."
Right?
Yeah, I
Listen,
like cranberries.
Nasty
actually-
gel fat from the spam go good together.
Yeah, cranberries and gel fat.
Yeah, I'd like to go out and get some like bog cranberries. I know, Clay, you said you knew a good spot. Like Michael knew a good spot.
Yeah, Michael has taken me there a couple times, and shout out Michael Mondo.
Yeah.
He has taken me there a couple times, and it's a badass spot. I mean, it's like I feel like it would be rude of me, like, so I haven't done this, but like last time I was there, I was like, God, I should really like mark this on the map, it's like it's his spot. So every time I'm like, hey, can you take me back to your spot, even though it's like public land,
Right.
and he's not gonna like eat all the cranberries there, but
Sure.
it's
You're just being
phenomenal.
polite. Yeah.
Yeah,
But now that you
It's like-
broadcast it, and people are gonna like, you got backtrace this from pictures that you have, and figure
Michael
out the
Mendoza's gonna be
angularity of
getting-
the sun and the where you're at.
Michael Mendoza's inbox is going to be flooded.
yeah. He's just gonna be like, I can't keep up with all these messages to go harvest cranberries. Yeah, they're pretty awesome though. They're Vaccinium macrocarpon, so they're not the little ones, they're the big ones.
Mm.
And they are just so prolific there. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, in a 10 square foot area, I stayed put for like an hour and a half.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Do you steam juice them, or like put them in a jar and add water and a little bit of sweetener of your choice and pressure can them, or can them?
I
Water
didn't do any of that stuff. They last so long. I just basically I made cranberry sauce,
Mhm.
which is just cranberry jam. And then with all the rest of them, I just cooked it with meat.
Nice.
I actually really love just like cooking meat and throwing like a handful of cranberries right in the pan and just like watching them all pop
Nice. Yeah.
and then
Nice.
and then eating them with the meat. Like, I think it tastes good.
I agree with you. I
Yeah,
never
me
would have thought
too.
that combination was good, but it is.
Yeah.
A lot of berries with meat is really good.
Yeah. But anyway, Jed, I am going to ask you now to, we've had a lot of talk about your website. What is your website and how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah. My website's dropseedecology.com. Yeah, that's my small nursery project. And I'm on Instagram at dropseedecology.
Always
Those are the-
posting really, really amazing looking food.
Oh, thanks.
You eat a lot of wild food. I'm not going to lie. Like, it really is probably like over 50% of your diet.
I don't know. I've never really
Just judging
up
from the
calories.
Insta post. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just going from that. Jed eats a lot of wild food. I don't see
Sure.
him posting Arby's or anything on there. So
Yeah. Yeah, Jed, I definitely would say that you are one of those people who actually does eat a lot of wild food. You get to know a lot of foragers in the foraging world. And I mean, we've had them on too where they just like admit it. You know, Tim Clemens talking about his like gas station taquitos and and how much his love of like gas station burritos and stuff like that. You're like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Yeah.
But yeah, you eat a crap ton of wild food, dude. That's,
Yeah, I like to cook.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of it, but and then having staples, you know, like wild rice, hickory oil, hickory nuts, black walnuts, and then just seasonal greens and, you know, all kinds of different stuff. But
Now you just got to get that meat component in there, and not from your uncle.
So speaking of that, get your hunter safety done and we'll go.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to do it this winter.
Okay. Or even sooner. And then we'll kill some squirrels this year.
When is squirrel season?
Now.
Okay.
Now all the way until April, I think, or something like that. It goes
You guys go all the way to April?
I think.
You got
maybe March. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I was going to say ours is September 15th to March 31st.
Yeah.
It's a long season. It's
ours starts, I think, end of August.
Yours is definitely earlier than mine.
Yep.
Which is weird because you're so much hotter. It's all gross and muggy down there. You guys got all this
gross and muggy. Listen to you. We're not the swamps of Georgia. Like this isn't the Everglades. Jeez.
Yeah, but in my opinion,
in August,
breeze,
you know what? You're right. We got the corn sweat going. That's a real thing. That's a real thing.
That was crazy this year. That was crazy this year.
No rain for 3 months, and we still got 94% humidity because the corn is letting off. And did you see like the study that they did that they figured out like per square acre of corn, how much water?
It's an insane amount of water. I can't remember it exactly, but I was shocked.
Yeah. By
the numbers. But yeah, we were driving up to go ricing during that like crazy heat. And we were in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I think that's how you pronounce it. And that's quite a ways up there, you know, like 5 hours north of here. And we got out of the car at like a rest stop, and it was still like 95 degrees and humid. We thought as we were going north, it'd cool off, but it was like, it wasn't budging.
Yeah,
and then eventually we got up
ag land up there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then we got up towards like Duluth and it dropped like 15
once you hit those pines, that tree line probably started to drop off.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Damn
you guys
cedar
live in,
swamps.
You guys live in like essentially a Dagobah.
All right. Anyway,
corn sweat.
Jed, thank you so much for coming on and taking this abuse that Clay has given us for living in Illinois.
Yeah, I appreciate talking to you today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, see you next time.
Bye.
And once again, thank you so much for listening to the Publicly Challenged podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please subscribe on whatever platform it is you're listening to. Also, if you could leave a review, that would help us out. And you can check us out on Instagram or at publiclychallenged.com. And once again, thank you so much for listening to the show.